Good morning again. I want to welcome everyone once again to today's hearing. I want this to be a good and productive hearing. I think there are a number of us who are going to be very candid, including some of the witnesses. Perhaps it's sometimes blunt. I respect my colleagues on the other side greatly. However, I fundamentally disagree in a number of things that happen that have been highlighted by the stories we're going to hear today. I do wish that more members from the other side of the aisle were here. I respect differences of opinion, but I think you have to be there, you have to be in the game, you have to participate. I appreciate both of you for being here very much today, and I know we're going to have a continuing dialogue on that. You know, today we're here in Charlotte, North Carolina, but this committee, and I've been on it, has also been to Philadelphia. We've also been to New York City. We've also worked each and every day in Washington, D.C. And you know, when we went to Philly, we saw progressive DA Larry Krasner allow more than 400 murders to happen that year. And his office dismissed 70%, not 7%, 70% of those crimes. The committee's been in New York City, and there we saw DA Alvin Bragg let crime surge while he focused on politicizing his office and on politics. He even tried to throw a bodega clerk in jail that was defending himself from violence. Every time the committee visits a new city when we do these field hearings, which is a good thing to do, the story is the same. The faces may be different, the accents may be different, the city may look different, but the same story. We're mourning for innocent lives that have been lost. Hearing from families who've been shattered, have been broken apart, have been destroyed. And there are no words we can say. We were talking on the bus ride here, a few of us. You know, when something like this happens to a daughter or a son, a brother or a sister, a mother or a father, there are no words. There are no words that I can say to some of the people on the panel today that ever make it right. I know that. I never say I know how you feel, because I don't know how you feel. I can never know how some of you feel. I pray to God that I don't know how you feel. The latest name we speak of is Irina Zarutska, a young woman with her whole life ahead of her, one who fled an actual war zone to chase the American dream. She wanted to be here so badly. I think some of you may know that when she was murdered, her parents requested that she be actually buried here in America because she loved America so much. And what's perverse about all this, it wasn't in the battlefields of Ukraine where she lost her life. It was right here on an American street in an American city. It's unacceptable. We're tired of it. We're sick of it. It's sickening. And you know, ladies and gentlemen, we don't have to accept it. It doesn't have to be this way. Bad leaders let this happen, weak leaders. And it's not just crime policy, and I'm going to just, the only time I think today I'm going to digress, but it's an odd time in American history where we have, I think, some really bad ideology, perverse and bizarre thoughts and ways of going about things. You know, whether it was the open borders where we allowed, you know, folks will say, well, borders always to some degree were open and we had some illegals in this country, but we never had illegals who were also criminals and drug lords and drug dealers and murderers and people who assaulted other individuals on the terror watch list. Or whether it's children in our schools. I'm trying to paint the picture of, I don't understand what some of the thought process is in what we're doing in our country when we say that our children can work with politicians, administrators, and others to change their gender, to change their name, to change their pronouns. Or in foreign aid, when around the world we're spending your tax dollars for transgender opera or drag queen shows or bizarre studies around the world of prostitutes. And I'm not making this stuff up. That's the sad part. or men competing in women's sports. None of that has specifically to do with what's going on, what's happening here today, but it does, because we're doing things to ourselves as a nation that makes no sense to me. That makes no sense to most of the Americans that I meet when I'm in any town, any city, or in my home district. I just don't get it. It's just not natural. You know, I have to ask, why don't, when we come back to what happened here to these victims, why is it that some of these leaders don't show more compassion for, they do show more compassion for criminals, but not the victims? Somebody came up to me, I was talking to him about this very issue, a regular constituent, and said, why do we abandon our victims but have heart and empathy for the criminals? I didn't have an answer. What are we doing? I don't know. Why are judges, elected officials, leftist nonprofits, and activist groups doing all they can to make our streets more dangerous? I don't know how else to say it. It's purposeful. It's not accidental. Let's talk about, why we're here. A magistrate judge let this killer walk free even after his own mother said he was dangerous and that he was a real problem and she was concerned. His own mother. The magistrate judge said, well, this is the 14th time he committed a crime, but, I think it'll be his last because he signed a handwritten note that he's going to be good. Seriously? Are we serious about that? You're looking us straight in the face and saying that? You don't need a degree to know that it's absurd. You don't need to be an attorney or a judge to know that it's wrong. You don't have to have a high-ranking title to know that it doesn't make sense. All you need is common sense and empathy and a heart and the desire to see this nation to be the best nation that it can possibly be. But he was allowed to walk our streets. And now a young woman, and there's other stories, it's not the only story, but this young, beautiful woman with her entire future in front of her, working 3 jobs, living the American dream, believing in America, she's gone. This hearing's not going to bring her back. Your testimony's not going to bring her back. The good people who are here watching is not going to bring her back. There's nothing we can do except to make sure that her life has meaning. So if it has meaning, it means we stop doing this, that we stop putting bad people back on the street. And it's something we can relate to because millions of Americans around the country use transit every day. In Charlotte, there's a great group of people who are really working here to make the transit even better and safer and are doing wonderful things. We have to allow them to do that. We need the laws, we need the judges, we need the attorneys, we need the attorneys general, we need the prosecutors and DAs to do the right thing, to do their damn job. Irina didn't even speak to this man. Did you ever see the video on it? It's sickening, it's heartbreaking. Young girl, kind of tired from just finishing an 8-hour shift. She slips into her seat, doesn't bother anybody. And this, I don't want to say the words, this individual comes behind her and just thrusts a knife into her and takes the life from her. She didn't provoke him. She didn't hurt him. She didn't yell at him. She didn't look at him. She probably didn't even see him. But she was murdered. It could be me. It could be you. It could be any member on this panel. It could be your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, your daughter, your son. And when you think about this issue, think about it that way. Think how you would feel if it was someone you knew and loved that was in your family. We can't live like this. We don't want to live like this. And here's the catch. There's absolutely no reason for us to live like this. And when we do this, what's happened in the past, in this incident and many others, it tells Americans one thing, something they don't want to hear, that their safety and their values comes last. We must be tough on crime. I'm not talking about minor victimless crime. You know what I'm talking about. cruel, harsh assaults, murders, beatings, the things we know that are out there. Repetitive crime over and over again. You know, my friends and my colleagues on the other side of the aisle like to talk about gun laws, you know, on legal people who legally own guns. I'm not going to talk about that today. But this individual had a problem with illegal guns. And we all can agree on that we should crack down on those who steal guns or use them illegally or who are criminals. Violent criminals should be behind bars. We've got to keep them there. We've got to stop the cashless bail. And we must put good, law-abiding Americans first. And you know what? I'm going to address something else, because sometimes when you say these things, and again, what I got up here and what I got here comes out of my mouth. You say these things and somebody will say to you, well, that's racist, or that's misogynist, or that's Hitlerian, or that's, you know, all the other terms. I can't even think of all the words that are dictatorial, you know, all these words that are used. It's not. Because here's the deal. Whether you're an African American, whether you're white, whether you're Asian, whether you're Hispanic, whether you're gay, whether you're straight, damn it, you want to be safe when you go out in your streets. Somebody called my office because they were complaining about trying to crack down on crime in Washington, D.C., and there are those that will tell you, oh, there is no crime in Washington, D.C. I know I've had 2 people on my team in Congress that have been assaulted. I know a friend of mine who's a congressman whose intern was killed. I know that murdered. I know that down within eyeshot of where my little apartment is in D.C., 2 Jewish, beautiful Jewish young couple that left the museum were shot to death. I know that President Trump's intern had the living daylights beat out of him. Don't tell me there's any crime in Washington. So I've been supportive. Yeah, you should be able to walk the nation's capital day or night and be safe. This is America. You should be able to do that. So somebody, we you know, have people call the office. We all do, all the time. And you're talking about, you know, the assault in my office. And they said, well, that person from your office shouldn't have been out at night. Well, number one, it wasn't evening, it was during the day. Number two, yeah, you can. It's America. And if you want to walk around the nation's capital in the evening, you damn well should be able to. It's got to change. We must return to common sense. I want to thank the witnesses for being here today. I know this is not easy. I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine. Your stories are heartrending. You're going to share with us what was terrible, and most importantly, what is preventable. And by your work and your faith and your focus in being here, you may save future lives, and we appreciate that. You know, their testimony is not just what happened to them. It's a warning and a call to all of us to do the right thing. With that, I will yield to the